Good afternoon, happy stampers, and welcome to my happy stamping studio. My name is Judy Anderson from judystamps.com, and I'd like to welcome all my live viewers as those of you watching on replay. Say hi as you come in and let me know where you're watching from. I've got a little bit of a raspy voice today, so I may be taking some drinks in between here. But if you're on my newsletter list, you know that we are concentrating on designer series papers this week and creating some designs with that. I've already received several cards using designer series papers, and I'll be sharing those over in my private Happy Stamping Community with Judy group. If you haven't joined, join us over there and you can share your creations over there. We have a lot of fun and I bring extra things to those people. They're kind of my VIPs. Also, if you aren't on my newsletter list yet, go to judystamps.com, which is right across the bottom of the screen here, and sign up for my newsletter. You get tips and tricks and are alerted on the specials of the month and what I am doing nowadays over there, my calendar of events. So what do you say? Let's get started. I'm going to turn this around real quick. There we go. Okay, get it. And then I'm going to grab a drink. Before we get started, though, I keep forgetting to do this. I want to share some of the holiday cards that I received this past holiday. And several of them use designer series papers. So I thought this is a great time to show them. So this one here uses the designer series in the background, which is the most commonly way to use designer series paper. Here's another cute card. Several of these are Stampin' Up! Stamps. Some are older, some are new and up to date, and some of them are using other stamps along with them. And then we've got this one here, which is a little bit of a tricky, you think that it would open up, but that is just on the right side there. Now I cover that up. And this one is not a Stampin' Up! Paper, but I thought it was a gorgeous card. It did use one of our dies from a couple years ago. This one was really fun. It's from a friend of mine who does a lot of sewing, and she incorporated her sewing. Remember last week we incorporated quilting and patchwork into our thing. So instead of designer series paper, she stamped on fabric, and this is a piece of fabric in the back, and she stitched it on. So this is another idea, and it actually comes off, so it is an ornament that I can use in the future. This one here uses a strip of designer series paper right down the center in the banner. And this one here is just in the background as a matted layer. This one is a very beautiful card also, and it's a special fold that I will be sharing in a class, on my online classes. And she used some of our gold that's from the winter mini catalog and embossed it and used this fine gold detailed. And then I'll show you, it opens up here just like that. So this is a card that you're going to get in the future. It's not in the class that I just released yesterday. Here's another one they use in the front, some velvet up here, and just like that. Another one in the background. Use that glimmer paper. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love when people use glimmer paper. They also took a piece of designer series paper and covered the front of the card and just used a white card base. This one uses it in the background and just around the edges. This also is an older die cut of ours. And then she put a strip on the inside. Don't forget to decorate the inside of those cards. So those are just some of the holiday cards that I received this year, and with designer series paper, so I wanted to share them with you. So today we're going to be using the Country Bird House stamp set. We're using the dies mostly. We're going to use the stamps on the inside. I may throw a bird on there. I'm not too sure, but I am using the Mediterranean Blooms designer series paper because I love the blues and the yellows. Last week we used blue and the peach pie. If you don't have this, but you have purchased from our current mini catalog, this one here, which is in the Delightful Wishes, it's the floral and we've got floral and gingham specialty vellum, and then we've got the Floral Delight 12 by 12. This is a softer look. If you want the blues and the yellows, you would get the vellum as well as the 12 by 12 papers. And that's going to give you a more summery look, and that is found on page 35 of our new mini catalog. If you don't have the current mini catalog and are not working with a demonstrator currently, shoot me an email and I will send one your way. So the Country Birdhouse, I'm probably going to be putting a Hello Friend on here, and like I said, probably the bird, but we are designing this card as we go. So the Mediterranean blooms, I just love the yellows and the blues. We're going to use this design here. Several of the designs would work. In fact, we're going to use a couple of the designs. This one here. Gorgeous papers, aren't they? This one filled with the oranges, and here is the navy. So my navy people, this is a card pack for you. I love these lemons. And then the blue on the back there. I think I'm going to use this for one of my patterns. And then we have this one here that has flowers and the greenery, and then another one with the blues. Now, I know you may be thinking, well, Judy, it's great for the navy, but what other blue is that? Because I see some other blues in there. Well, we do have balmy blue and boho blue in there. And there's a little bit of Cajun Craze, some Daffodil Delight, some early espresso, some garden green, the lemon lolly, the night of navy, old olive, peach pie, and pumpkin pie. So my card base is going to be the basic white. And I forgot to do this last week. So we're going to fold with the mountain in the middle. And we are going to use our bone folder to burnish that score line because we want that nice and thick. We're going to put that to the side because we can put everything on later. I'm just going to set that to the side. And then I have a piece of Daffodil Delight, and it is cut only an 1/8 inch smaller. So this is going to be my mat on my card base. So when I put this on, it's going to have a very small border of white around it. I decided to use the white because I think it's going to bring out some of the brightness in the card. And then I do have a couple pieces of scrap white to use along the way. I am going to use the Night of Navy to stamp with for any of our stamped images. But I'm going to grab my papers now. I'm going to show you. So I know that I want this birdhouse on here. So I am going to take a look at my paper, and I am going to decide what part of the pattern do I want on here. Now I know that when we go and put on these other layers, because I do have 2 other layers I'm going to add, which is this layer here. And then I have the scallop layer here. Okay, so you look, and now I can tell what part of my pattern is going to show. And I'm also going to put something across the bottom. So we're mainly going to see the center part of this. So I am actually going to pull this down and know that I can put my bird hole, the house hole, wherever I want on this because I'm not stamping the image. So I just want to place this on here till it's where I want it, if I like the pattern. So I like the pattern here. So I'm going to go in, take these. I don't want to put them underneath there. If you were with me last week, I lost one of my pieces of paper. And you know what? I just found it this morning. When I took out my cut and emboss machine, it fell out of my cabinet. So it must have been stuck to my cut and emboss machine. So I'm going to have this here because I know This can be covered up, but I like the way that kind of highlights around here. So I am going to take a Post-it note and I am going to just hold that on there, because next I'm going to take my paper snips and just cut around, because I know this entire piece is not going to fit onto my cut emboss machine. So I know that that's where I want it. So I'm just going to take my paper snips and cut around. And some of you are thinking, well, Judy, I could figure this out. But I have had several requests from people saying that, you know what, I'm just beginning and I don't quite understand some of what you're talking about. So I thought, you know what, I am going to do some of my lives. Most of them you can follow whether you're an avid stamper or a beginning stamper. So we have that. And once again, so if you're a beginner, the reason why I cut it down is because I want it to fit within my plates, my platform. Okay, so I have that one. So like I said, I want to do a couple more. And so I'm going to have these 3 pieces here. And so I know it's going to be layered like this. Okay, so I want to know how, love the patterns. So I am going to use this small pattern for this piece, and I'm going to use the other side for the scallop. And you're not going to be able to tell that they're lemons and flowers and leaves. You're just going to see the pattern. So I am just going to put this up in the corner here, just like this. And I can actually cut both of these out at the same time. Okay, that's one reason why I love using double-sided designer series paper. I'm just going to take this and kind of cut across this like this. I don't want to waste a whole lot of this. Once again, I can move this one down just a little bit. And I will take my Post-it note. I want to hold that down there, and we are going to adhere those with the Post-it note. So I'm going to go right along the edge with this one. Okay. And go in just a little bit with this one, not much. I could do it right next to it if I wanted. Okay, I'm going to hold that down that way and hold this one down on this side. Now, I should have done this on a silicone sheet instead of this paper. I'm going to fold this around it so that it doesn't move up and down. Okay, so it's a little tip. Our dies do have a tendency of moving a little bit, but this will stop it from moving. Okay, we're going to have this piece, and I think for this one, I am just going to use a solid piece of Daffodil Delight. So I'm just going to grab a piece here, a little scrap, and we will cut that out of Daffodil Delight. Okay, let's grab our cut and emboss machine, and we're going to run all these through. I'm going to move all of this. So how are you guys doing now? It is freezing here. I actually had another sweater on. So I had 2 sweaters. I went and visited the doctor this morning. And good news, she's happy. You guys, some of you may know that I am diabetic, and she's happy with the way my numbers are going and wants me to get a little bit better yet. I've been fighting with this for quite a few years and finally found a doctor that's been helping me. Okay, I'm actually going to put this all together on here because I can cut it all at once. Now, remember I said that we have our little peephole, and our little peephole is in the center. So I am going to put this circle over the center there, and all you're going to end up seeing is like these star-like, or if you want to say floral-like pattern around that center. I'm also going to grab this piece here. So look, we're cutting all of them at one time. So only one time through the machine. Put it down, hold it tight, and start to crank it through. So good news this morning from my doctor. I come back this way. You don't have to come back again, but I do just because my light is on the other side, and this just makes it easier for me to take it out and show you without making a big mess. Okay, so this is kind of like last week when we were doing the paper quilting and paper piecing. I'm going to put everything up here so I don't lose it. Put my dies in my container that's magnetic. Okay, now remember, I said we're using both sides of this paper. And look, this has got a nice little pattern on it. I'm not going to throw this away. I can use that for something else. So we're going to take these off. And this one, I am going to have this piece showing. And then that one, and remember I told you, you're not going to be able to tell that they're lemons. All you see is the coloring on that. So that is fantastic. Take this out. And we'll always be able to use this little circle too. I don't know for what, but a wheel perhaps. Get all that put in there. Get all of these taken off. And our card is going to be pretty simple to put together from here on out. Let me grab my mat here. We have all our pieces. So we're going to put these together. And I'm going to want this down just like that. I just love how that piece there is in that upper quadrant. So you know what? I'm just going to raise this up a little bit. You know what? Let's see what it'll look like if we do it this way. And if we put this, so I took this one and went above the birdhouse instead. The only part I don't like is down here, it's not matching up correctly. So we don't get that scalloped edge on that, but we get everything else. So that's okay. Let me grab my silicone mat here, and we're going to start putting this together. So I am just going to, I want to show you this way too, though. We could use the yellow here and the blue here. Oops, I still have a piece of Post-it note. Which way do you like? Let me know. Make a comment. Which way do you like it? Do you like it this way with the darker blue down? Or do you like it with the navy up and a little bit of the yellow here? Okay, I'm not going to lie. This is the way I first intended to do it because I thought, oh, wouldn't that yellow be striking against this here? But I kind of like it the other way, and that's the beauty. You can do it either way. So I think I'm going to switch it up. So this one is going to have the yellow. Daffodil Delight. And this is where you can use your liquid glue. I am using my Stampin' Seal, and by using the mat, the silicone mat underneath, all the excess kind of comes off the edges. It doesn't stick. So let's put this on. I am going to raise it just a tad bit. So I am going to go just above that boho glue line. Okay, I'm going to hold that down there. Next, we're going to take our Night of Navy pattern and secure that on. Now, do you think we should do a bird? And what color bird? Let me know. Okay, this, I'm going to have a little bit of a space in between the two. Or no, I'm not. I'm going to go all the way up, and I am going to fix those ends. I'm going to do something. Okay, remember how I said I didn't like how these ends were shorter? So what we're going to do is we are going to just make it a little bit shorter. Okay, and I like the way that looks. It's layered. Okay, we're going to take this and let's put it onto our card front. Now, this is where we can decide. I think we need to emboss this. Let me grab my embossing folders. I just think with all this pattern on here, doesn't this remind you kind of a Dutch pattern? Sure does me. So do you want a circular? I want to kind of keep up with this type of a pattern. And I have a feeling that it is going to be our Distress Tile 3D embossing folder. Okay, so this is a 3D embossing folder, just like the one I used last week. So we're going to need to use the gray plate on and not the clear plate. So remember, with your 3D, you always use that gray plate. And the number is number 4. So let's put this on. I don't want to lose these pieces. And we're going to go ahead and emboss this. I just think that it's going to go with that pattern. I always line it up to this line that's on your embossing folder and go down. Okay, we want our plate number 1 and then our embossing folder and then this number 4 plate. Grab my cut and emboss machine again. So like I was saying earlier, I did just release a Funfold cards class. Those on my email list, my newsletter list, got the notification, and right now we are in the early bird. The class will be released on Friday, but if you sign up and purchase the class now, you're going to save $12. Instead of $47, it is $35. And it is well worth it. You're getting 6 different folds, 7 different cards, plus some learning videos along with that. I have teamed up with my friends from across the globe again, and we're putting that on. Okay, so see how that just brings out that birdhouse. So we're going to go ahead and adhere this to our card front. I just love it. And we could go either way. We could have it, you know what? I'm going to do it so that the softer side, this is the side that actually is supposed to be up, but I am going to reverse it. I want to reverse it. And sometimes on your pieces that have fine, intricate embossing on them, let me grab my silicone mat. You may find that the tape pulls it up a little bit. Just go slow and it should be fine. Or grab your liquid glue. Oops, there we go. Got that on there. So let's grab our card base and put this on next. And you could choose, if you are going to be handing this card to someone, you could choose to use your Stampin' Dimensionals to adhere your birdhouse. However, I am going to attach it directly to it, but I don't want the yellow showing from this hole. I want that to be Night of Navy. So I am just going to reach here into my scrap bin and cut a piece that's going to go behind there. And I'm just going to put some adhesive here to hold that on. And look, oops, my tape decided to come off the edge. Okay, look how pretty this would have been even with this. That's gorgeous. I love it. You know, I just love pattern. Kind of take after my grandparents, my grandmas. Both of them sewed, both of them. One did more knitting and crocheting. In fact, my one grandmother taught me how to crochet. And they both knit. My one grandmother was German and she German knit. And that's the knitting that's how my mom learned to knit. So she had to adapt patterns. She told me it was kind of like backwards knitting. I don't understand knitting. I didn't like knitting, so I didn't continue with it. Okay, so now I had decided to do this yellow. I am thinking I should have done it white. So you know what? I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I'm just going to put this right along here and I'm going to cut around it instead of using the die. I don't want to grab all that out. If I was smart, I would have used both colors, cut one out of the Daffodil Delight and one out of the basic white. Here we go. Hi. Grace is with us again. Hello, Grace. And nobody else has commented. There's more people on here. I like that. So we are going to put hello friend on. Or you know what? We're just going to leave the front empty. I'm just going to put this directly on there. And go here. Now see, now to begin with, some of you were telling me that to do a yellow bird. Are you still up for that yellow bird? Or do you think we need to do a blue bird? How about a boho blue? We can stamp our bird in Night and Navy and then color it with our boho blue markers. Stamp that on there. I'm going to grab another drink. There we go. So let me grab my boho blue markers. So I'm going to take the dark and I'm just going to put a little bit of dark here below the wing and here just for a shadow. I am going to grab my Daffodil Delight and do a little bit of a yellow breast on it. Okay, then I'm going to take my light boho blue and let's color the rest. So over this holiday season, I had a surprise phone call. I got a phone call from my godmother. Now she lives, about 4 hours, and I have not seen or talked to her in quite a few years. We chatted a while, and I'm excited because we are going to get together. We're going to meet halfway. We're each going to drive about 2 hours to see each other. Okay, I like the way that came out. I'm going to grab, guess the pumpkin pie light for my beak. And I'm going to use the other side. I'm just better off with the bullet point rather than the brush tip. And do you see how the pumpkin and that Daffodil Delight are really close in color? Okay, now there is a die that goes with this, but I don't mind fussy cutting, and I think at this point it's going to be a little bit quicker to fussy cut this. So this actually stamp set and dies you can get a bundle price on also. And don't forget, all these products you can purchase through my online store. Just go to judystamps.com and click on the shop button and it'll bring you right there. And right now we have celebrations. So for every $60, you get to choose a free item from Celebration. This is the time people stock up on papers and markers and blends and adhesives because say, hey, now I'm going to buy this anyways, so I might as well get something for free. I'm all for that. Okay. I think we should have had something across here. I don't quite like how it's so sparse. I want to say, oh, we don't have any green. Let's see. That's the happy birthday. I know I have a pattern in here. I've got this pattern right here. And we're going to stamp this in the Knighted Navy. We're going to stamp it across the bottom and across the top. So we go there, right here, and that's a little bit crooked. And let's get this on that silicone mat so it's easy to pick up. We're just going to go in the reverse direction. This here, trying to line it up so that it's the same distance. Got close, but not quite, but that's okay. Okay, now let's get it back onto our birdhouse. Put this right here. Grab a Stampin' Dimensional. And put this right here. We want our bird. Oh, look how the bird adds to that whole thing. But look at how, so you could have stamped, because there is a stamp in here that goes with this set here, and you could have colored and used flowers in that, but I just love the way this came out. I may add some flowers up here by using die cutting the Designer Series paper. On the inside, we're going to stamp the Hello Friend, and I'm going to send this out to, I'll send this card to the first person that orders after this video. I won't sign it. I'll put a post-it note in here and say hello to you. But this is a card that you could have to give to another friend. Just pass it forward. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoy playing with your Designer Series paper and see some of the different things that you could do. We could do a lot more to this. We could use our markers and do a little bit of coloring if we wanted, but I like it just the way it is. So until we meet again, happy stamping, everybody.